Hey Govcon Giants family, your host Eric Coffie here. Before we get started with this particular guest, I just want to let everyone out there, if you're on the fence or you're thinking about our Academy 3.0 program, which is our flagship program that takes small businesses from bidding proposals, estimating jobs, to what do you do once you win the contract and doing your submittals, all of that and more, visit our website, govcongiants.com, click on courses, because we are no longer accepting new enrollment stopping on August the 31st. So again, August 31st is the last date for new enrollment. If you're already in the program, you're safe. However, for those persons that are on the fence, you may want to take advantage now. Now, back to our show. Today's guest, Mr. Lynwood Owens Jr., he founded this company in 2009, but he really didn't start the actual business until 2016. And so during that time frame, he was supporting another emerging small business, helping them grow as the senior VP of business development. Well, he took that company from $300,000 to about $16 million a year, helping them win multiple $100 million BPAs. And I got to pull it up on the screen because it's so much. $100 million IDIQ single award, $180 million BPA award, $103 million single award BPA, and another $300 million BPA multiple award. So this guy knows a thing or two about winning large contracts in a short period of time. So again, if this interests you at all, his specialty was IT in particular. So if you're in the IT space, information technology, and you're interested in how do you scale an emerging small business in a short period of time through BPAs and IDIQs, this is the episode for you. Thanks for watching. Enjoy.
My name is Lynwood Owens Jr., and the company is called LBO Technology LLC.
All right. And if you don't mind, just telling us what it is that LBO Technology is and what is it that you guys do?
So we incorporated in 2009, and we're headquartered in Leesburg, Virginia, with a secondary office in Charleston, South Carolina. We have two lines of business: professional services, and that entails PMO support, data analytics, administrative support, and a growing revenue stream for us and customer base is in the organizational training and development, particularly in diversity, inclusion, and equity training. That's a very good area. So, and then the second line of business is IT. We do full life cycle software development, system maintenance, tier 3, tier 4 help desk support, and cybersecurity. So that's sort of our core competencies, and we currently support 10 different federal government agencies in the civilian space, as well as the DoD, and also in the intelligence community.
Nice. First and foremost, thank you for coming on today. I appreciate you taking out your time. And I know we had some technical difficulties in the beginning, but we've worked through some of that now.
Yeah.
Let me ask you.
I enjoy to be on. I talked in Charleston about that, and I said, I'll be happy to, if I can help some small business out there. Hopefully, I can.
Yeah, no, and that's you spoke with Maria Martinez, and so yep, she's the one that you met with out in Charleston. So that's great. How was that event?
It was great. I've been to a number of the United Women's Chamber events. I went to this one about 3 years ago when it was, I guess, an on-site event. They haven't had it the last 2 years because of COVID, but this was the first year we were a gold sponsor. So we had an exhibit table and participated in the event, and as well as the matchmaking that was in the afternoon.
Okay. That actually brings up a really good point. When people sponsor tables, what are you looking for? If I'm a small business and I come to your table, what kind of things should I expect? Or what should I be looking for? What are you looking for from the small businesses that you meet at those type of events?
Well, I think you have to be, especially if you're real small and, maybe cash flow is an issue. You probably want to be very, very selective when you do decide to exhibit. We tend to exhibit, especially if it's an agency that we support that's a sponsor. In this case, it was Department of State.
Okay.
And we're trying to gain further traction there. I've supported Department of State for on and off for about 12 years.
Okay.
So I wanted to really meet a lot of stakeholders,
Gotcha.
to have them come over and visit our table and learn more about what we can do, what we can offer the agency.
Okay.
Uh, but also it's good for networking. I
Right.
had, of course, I used to work at GDIT, so I had GDIT come. I had some of the
Ah,
other vendors that were exhibiting come over and just say, "Hey, this is who we are, and what do you do?" And we're looking for a viable hub zone or 8A company to partner with. So it kind of opened the door for more networking.
right.
So I think you take advantage of that you get someone coming to your table as opposed to just attending the event and then kind of walking around, and
Right.
it gives you a little more heightened element of networking.
And you said the company was founded when?
2009.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. Now, are you the founder of the company or you just took over as president?
Yeah, I'm the founder and
Okay.
100% of the owner.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. No, I was looking at the, on LinkedIn. I was just looking at the timelines. That's why I was asking that question.
Well, good question, because it is a little deceiving on LinkedIn,
Right.
because for the first 7 years of the company, after I founded the company, I actually was a consultant. So I did
Ah,
business development, helping a service disabled veteran-owned company grow from about 20 employees to over 300.
nice. Okay.
So what that did was that helped me in terms of having startup capital.
Ah,
Because
okay.
as a small business owner, if you're not born with the silver spoon, many of us, cash in our retirement, our stock, or what have you,
Sure.
because there's a significant investment for startup, getting benefits and those kind of things, because we decided to get a top secret facility clearance. We got the hub zone status, the 8A status. We have 4 ISO certifications. So obviously all those things cost.
Sure. Right.
So fortunately for me, working 7 years as a consultant, it gave me the capital to be able to start the company without dipping into my savings at all. So I was able to just take that money and run with it. And again, very fortunate that I was able to start winning work year 2. And then now we're in basically year 6. And, we're supporting 10 different agencies, and we have 16 contracts, and 14 of those as a prime contractor.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. No, that's actually, I'm actually happy that you shared that story. And I guess I'm happy I asked a question, but because that's one of the questions I often ask is, how did you, like, where did you get the money from to start the business? So that's wonderful to hear that you were a consultant. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, otherwise you either have to take out a loan, SBA
Right.
offers that as well. You can work through your local PTAP and work through SBA and get some sort of a grant or a loan. But other people, as a lot of people I know, just cash in their 401k or their stock,
Right.
and then assuming they get contracts, then they pay themselves back. But
Right.
in turn, I didn't want to take that risk. I have a family. So I decided to consult for a while and earn that money to be able to use, working business to business from LBO technology to that business. So it all worked out for me doing that approach.
No, that's great. Now, how did you find the service disabled veteran company? How did you find them?
Well, that was very interesting. It was I was working for an 8A company that was looking to get acquired,
Okay.
and I had already been associated with 2 8A companies that were acquired. That's actually how I wound up being a director at GDIT. My 8A company got acquired by General Dynamics, and General Dynamics unit later became GDIT. So
Really?
hearing that they wanted to be acquired, I wanted to control my own destiny. I was a certain point in my career in my early 40s that I really didn't want to go somewhere else. So I ended up a third party, a person I worked with introduced me to this company.
Okay.
It said this service disabled veteran owned company is looking for someone to run their business development program. So literally, he called me the next day, and we had lunch. And I told him, my plan is to help you grow your company, but in turn, I want you to invest in my company in terms of some of that revenue and some of that growth. So it was a marriage made in heaven. And after 10 minutes, he said, sounds good. We shook hands, and he said, let's do it. And we had lunch. And again, he's very happy because he went from basically about a $3 million company in revenue to 30.
Right.
So those 7 years helped him succeed in that regard. And I was able to use my business development, acumen and relationships to grow his company. And then I had enough at that point. I said, well, it's time for me to go on my own and to hopefully be an entrepreneur and be successful.
Nice. Wow, that's a great story. That's a great story. I do not know the IT space. And I'm an engineer, man, and it's so disappointing. It's disheartening because there's so many facets of IT out there. But let's talk about the companies that were acquired. Why did GDIT acquire them? Do you know? Like, what was it? What did GDIT see in them that made them acquire them? And what do you know what level they were at? Like, at what revenues they were at when they were acquired?
Yeah, the company that was about 1,000 employees.
Okay.
I think the attraction for GDIT was the company had CMMI level 3 certification.
Yep.
And that's sort of a software and engineering standard by Carnegie Mellon. And GDIT was an ISO company, but they did not have that distinction. So I think they saw value in acquiring that company, acquiring that certification, and using that to be able to obtain more government contracts, because a lot of times government agencies require you to have CMMI certification. Okay. So instead of basically taking 3 to 4 years to get there, they decided to acquire a small business that was formerly 8A that grew pretty large. Right. That was a $150 million company. They decided to acquire that company and then acquire the CMMI. And also, too, they were mainly a DoD company, and they wanted to get into the civilian space. So this company had a lot of work in the civilian space. So they saw that as a way to get into the civilian market already, and they could then take that grow from there.
So I anticipate. Wow. And so that's how is that the first time? You said that's how you end up at GDIT?
Yes, that's the second time I was acquired.
So you know how to get acquired.
Yeah.
We got to talk about that offline.
Yeah.
That's actually an area where I'm.
Well, that in turn, I will tell you that, Eric, is my end game.
Okay.
I'm hoping that in by 5 to 8 years from now, that LBO is acquired.
Okay.
And and I can sort of semi-retire and have one of my sons take over and give them some capital and past performance to start their business.
Okay, nice. No. Like I said, I'm very interested in that. So we'll talk more offline. I don't want to bore the people listening to this podcast, but with the things that I'm interested in, we'll stick to how you got started, right? So no, that's great. And now, but where'd you even learn this from because I'm looking here, your experience comes from, Sally Mae, senior manager.
It does. That was a job I had right in college and out of college. Mm-hmm. So I was a software developer. And then I got bored with software development and saw an opportunity to manage what's called a CSOC, a operations center that sort of help desk, operations, network, telecommunications support. So I managed that, and then in turn was offered a position to do the same job, but working for a government contracting company. So they happened to be 8A. They were graduating from the 8A program, and I joined their company back in the early 2000s.
Okay. Okay. And so you managed that program, but where did you learn business development?
Well, I will say a couple mentors, you would say, because I very quickly went from program manager to business development.
Right.
Pretty
See?
much within by a year, I was doing business development, and I did have a couple mentors that I shadowed, and I would listen to them do their elevator pitch, and I would see how they adjusted their elevator pitch depending on who they were meeting with. If it was the government, they sort of had one pitch. And if it was a potential partner that's in the industry, sort of another way of pitching them, and then sort of pitching them based on the opportunity, to sort of emphasize what you do in that regard. So, kind of tagging along for about 3 or 4 months, listening to this over and over again. The next thing you know, I was told, "Hey, look, I want you to meet with DynCorp," and I'm like, "You're not going with me?" He said, "No." I think you can do it on your own. Well, I've never met DynCorp before, so that was kind of an awakening where, okay, I got to put the big boy pants on and sort of learn from the two mentors I was kind of working with, and was able to sell them on why I partner with our company, and it all worked out. And sort of from that, I sort of learned sort of how to craft my pitch, or how to, depending on the audience, what they want to hear, what keywords they want me to say, or what they want me to do in terms of an opportunity. So yeah, I really enjoy it. I'm a people person anyway, so working with people, talking to people, that's something I really enjoy.
It's interesting that you say that, because for me, it's the people like yourself that agree to come on this podcast are people persons, right? Like that's typically the case, right? And those are the ones that really are super successful, and they're like, yeah, I'll talk. I mean, they're like, I speak all the time anyways, right? I speak to audiences. Is that right? It makes sense. You're constantly having to be comfortable speaking to, I hate to say strangers, but for the lack of better words, right? Just, groups of people that you don't have like strong bonds with. How's that? Right.
Well, that is true. And Erica, if I were to give any advice to a business owner, I mean, not all of us are wired that way. Not all of us like to do public speaking or feel comfortable talking to people. I would tell a small business you need to make 2 investments: business development and proposal development, because that is key to your revenue. And if you're not someone who wants to articulate themselves and go to conferences and meet people all the time, then you need to hire that person that can do that,
right,
and that can represent your company for you,
sure,
and that has those relationships and can talk with government stakeholders as well as potential partners, that represent your company well, with integrity, and also invest in a really good proposal team. It could be one person, because I write proposals, but make sure you really have a good proposal sound process, and that you have a good business development person, because that's how you get work.
Yeah, I did several conferences last month, and everyone had challenges with finding those 2 areas. Good proposal. I mean, like that's like a sounding board. I mean, everyone has challenges finding good BD people and proposal writers. Everyone.
Well, here's the secret sauce. In my opinion, again, um, you're not going to find a good business development person on just from looking at resume sources, but
Right.
looking on Monster, or whatever recruiting service you want to use, because usually people that are out there for a reason. They've been somewhere, maybe they weren't successful, maybe they're looking to jump somewhere else. But to me, the key is to network and leverage, especially LinkedIn, to try to find someone who's currently working that you know of their track record, or you know that they have a history of success on their resume, and to try to lure that person to your company. And for me, what's been successful for me is finding a young, young, energetic person who articulates themselves well, and who is an extrovert,
right,
and sort of having them follow me.
right.
They
You
can
teach them.
learn from me. I can teach them the ropes of
Right.
how to do BD, and because there's a lot of sharks in the water. And a lot of business owners, believe me, I've met over the years that have fallen prey to a shark that has taken their intellectual property, or taken their relationships, or taken whatever they offered and used it to win work, but then in the end, did not give them anything.
Right.
And so you have to be able to have a seasoned person, or have someone that has the experience in that regard, that they'll protect your rights, and also do the best interest for your company, and not their interest.
No, that's wonderful. I think that's great. I like that perspective, which is, hey, the guy on Monster is not really your guy, because if he's a good BD guy, he's out there doing BD, right? Like, I mean, he's winning deals. So that's
exactly.
I like
typically
that.
the guy on Monster is not the guy or person you want to hire.
What about proposal writing? Come on, give me some. What about proposal writing?
Well,
that same holds true. Do you think the same holds true with proposal writers?
Well, what I've done, I think it's the same approach. I think you have to find, because I've recruited people that I've worked with. I've worked with companies that we've teamed with on proposals,
right?
And I've recognized the proposal manager or director, if you will.
Yep.
And then maybe there's a proposal coordinator, or a person that's under that person. And you sort of, to me, you sort of listen, like, wait a minute, that person's really good.
Right.
Like they're sharp, and they've got a proposal director or manager in front of them. So, maybe I can approach, person X and say, look, you ever thought about leaving and doing proposal management, or being a director, and sort of luring them over to your company, if you will.
Sure.
And then, and for me, in the same token, I've also taken the approach of BD, of finding a young, say, technical writer who's got really, really good writing skills, and training them on the Shipley's proposal process. Shipley's offers business development, they offer capture management, they offer proposal writing, proposal management training courses.
Mm-hmm.
So if you find a young, a talented person who's a really good writer, and then you send them through the Shipley's workshop, if you will, I've been able to hire one person, and they're awesome. I mean, now they're like one of my lead technical writers, and I got that person right out of college. And they've been trained on how to write to proposals, and if they need to interview technical people, then they just conduct interviews, and then they do the writing. So my technical folks are happy because they don't have to write proposals anymore. They can just be interviewed, have that person ask them the pertinent questions, and then they do the writing for them. So it's worked out well.
How do you know how much to pay everyone?
There's salary surveys you can do out there. There's ESRI, there's Indeed, there's salary.com. But it all depends on their experience. If you're hiring a senior BD person, obviously that comes with a pretty hefty price tag. But if you're hiring maybe a younger person, like a proposal writer right out of college, that you can offer them a pretty fair salary. And then what I've done with the person that I hired, that I just talked about, I would give them a raise every 3 months.
Nice.
Because I gave them a decent salary out of college, but in the same token, I invested in the Shipley's course.
Right.
So I started seeing after the course, and after they had some more training, I started seeing really positive results. So rather than giving them a raise every year and saying, okay, I started them at say 50K.
Yep.
And within 6 months, they're probably worth 70K.
Sure.
So instead of just waiting a year to give them a raise, every 3 months I gave them a bump. And then, and then after a certain time, then I put them on an annual merit package.
Right.
But that's what I did, just to kind of say, hey, look,
No, I like
came
that.
out of college, you were young, you were green.
Right.
And I gave you a chance, and you've made the most of it. You're really very productive. So in turn, I need to give you fair market value.
I like that. No, that's good. I think I like it because it's fluid, and a lot of us, we need, fluid ideas, right? Solutions, because we are small businesses. And we do have ability to be able to set our own policies and procedures. We don't have to follow like what the big companies do, which is, annual reviews. We can, we can be more nimble and flexible in terms of how we do things. So that's really good. I like that.
That's very true. I mean, believe me, in GDIT, I mean, you're hiring top talent. I mean, you can afford to say, this person's a great BD person or a great proposal director. Hey, I'll give you, $200,000. I'll give you $20,000 raise to come work for me. But small businesses can't do that. And then also too, in the same token, they would hire a rear admiral or a retired general in the Army or whatever, so that it could help them get work, in the Army or the Navy or wherever they were looking to pursue. But for small businesses, we have to be a little more nimble, a little more agile, because we don't have that top dollar to pay someone. So if you see a good candidate or someone that you can groom, then it may be worth making that investment and really grooming them, because that way they learn your culture, your processes, your approach to things, as opposed to working for another company or various companies. So
when you started, because when you talk about like the company that grew from 20 to 30 and 300 employees, how do they pick their markets? You said that you do, PMO support, right? And then you said you do data analytics. How did you pick that market? Like, how did you, because one of the things that we talk about is, okay, people have to have a very specific focus because the government's so big, right? How did you end up to settling on tier 1 and tier 3 IT's, full cycle support?
Well, good question, because as I mentioned, I was a programmer. So I do have software development work.
Right. Okay.
For me, I think you have to follow the money. Mm-hmm. And when you're looking at government forecast and where the money's going, one of the most popular NICS codes is 541611, which is professional services and admin. Well, when I worked for that company, I won 4 large-scale contracts. One of them was a single award, $100 million opportunity. And even though the work was maybe administrative or business analyst type, it wasn't sexy IT work. Well, when you onboard 60 people, then that really helps the numbers. That helps your revenue numbers.
Right.
And then you win another one that was a single award, 103 million. Then you onboard 70 more people. And then you win 2 others at Department of State that are $300 million ceiling. The other one was $180 million ceiling. So then you onboard these, 75, 80 FTEs. Then you're at a point where you really have, sustainability. You have, even though the margins aren't as large as maybe IT, you still have the, the revenue, the steady revenue coming in. You have that large number of employees. So even though the revenue, the profit may be not 12%, like IT, it could be 4 or 5%. But when you look at those large scale numbers, it kind of all makes sense for you. And you're able to then build that revenue and invest in your company, invest in your employees, and be able to put some savings for the company and to do other things like, that's one thing that we want to do. As we get larger, we want to and look at acquiring a smaller company, a company maybe that has a niche that we don't do, to sort of enhance our core competencies and make us to give us a little more discriminators, because it's very competitive out there. But yeah, that's sort of what I would say. But for me, it was looking at what sort of is driving the market, and really data analytics is huge. It will probably be huge for a number of years. The government has so much data that they don't have enough people to look at it, enough people to analyze it, to do predictive modeling on it. So that was an area I thought that was a good area. And then training is sort of a niche area where a lot of small businesses don't do training,
Right.
especially diversity, inclusion, and equity training, which if you look at the new administration, that was something they mandated immediately, that they basically are making every government agency go through diversity, equity, and inclusion training. So I saw that as an opportunity with the new administration. IT, as I said, I was a software developer, so we are doing some software development, but obviously cyber, again, like data analytics, is huge and will probably be huge for the foreseeable future.
Right.
There's more jobs than there are people that can do cybersecurity.
Sure.
And they say the next war is going to be a cyber war. So I don't see cybersecurity going away, and I don't see those things going away. So I think maybe if you choose a core competency, just because I want to do this, I think you really need to be realistic and look at what the government's looking for, because you're selling to them. So you have to do something that they want to buy.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of was the driving force of, where our core competencies are.
Okay. So we make the decision to go into this space, right? We look at the forecast and okay, I want to go into this space. Where do I find the people? Where do I find the past performance? Isn't that some of the challenges that you have with small business, not having past performance in that area?
It is indeed. I've been fortunate enough that getting into analytics, we were able to get a direct award, starting to do analytics, and that gave us past performance.
Okay.
And recruiting is a challenge, especially for small businesses.
Sure.
But what we've done as we've won work in data analytics and we've won work in diversity training is I told my recruiter, I don't want to stop there. Just because we've staffed this contract, don't stop there. We need a talent pool of resources so that if there's more work to be done in that area, if the contract grows, or if we start losing people due to attrition or people leave, then we've got a talent pool that we can go to that we've already vetted. We know them, we've talked to them, and then we can easily bring them, cycle them onto a contract or have them replace whatever candidate that left that position.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very important to have sort of a talent pool. I also have a staffing company sort of on reserve in case we need to staff something we can't find, because some of these opportunities are quick. They require clearances. Some are overseas, some are OCONUS. I think it's very important to have the talent pool of a certain population of skill sets that you need, and then also have some sort of a staffing company that you have a trusted relationship with that you can staff or lean on if you have to, if your recruiters can't find that resource.
Let me ask a different question. Tell me one thing that was hard when you first started that's still hard today.
That is a very good question, because 2017 and for the most part 2018 were lean years. I won't deceive anyone about that. In November of 2018, I got my 8A status, and I approached a number of contract officers that I knew and stakeholders that I knew, and all the work we had at that point was as a subcontractor. Okay. And they saw an 8A potential sole source or 8A competitive work as a risk. They said, well, Lynwood, we like you, we know you, but you don't have any prime work. And we look at US spending.gov, and you're $1 million company. You don't have a lot of capital, and you don't have a lot of fast forms to show that. So that was very difficult. So my first win March of 19 as a prime came as a product award.
Okay.
It was a company that I knew the contract officer at HHS,
Mm-hmm.
and a company that they wanted, she knew that they wanted satellite equipment to support their efforts.
Right.
And they were told to find an 8A. And she reached out to me and said, hey, look, company X, the Corps wants their equipment, but they need to find an 8A to do a sole source to. At that time, the sole source value was $4 million. So she connected me with me, and then we made a very quick award.
Right.
And that gave me my first prime contract. And then from then on, it really started it, because then I got prime contract. $4 million. Nice. I got $1 million coming in annually. I could go to my bank and get a line of credit.
Right.
I could do a lot of those things that it takes when you're a startup. You don't have past performance or anything.
Right.
So in terms of now, the tough thing now for me, I think, is being able to sustain the work that you have.
Okay.
Because that work, the period of performance on some of the contracts are, a year, 3 years, 4 years.
Right.
So as a small business, you want to retain that work. You want to keep that customer. So it's tough, because you've got to look at the cycle of the contract and say, okay, well, this contract's going to end in December. Well, I need to do the best we can to find out about the recompete and who are competitors, how do we align ourselves to keep this work. So that's a pretty significant, time, particularly if you don't have a project manager over there. If you have a project manager, you can sort of delegate to them, look, this thing's a year out. We need to start looking at the recompete. So that's hard, because, you as a business owner are looking at the big picture, what you're going after, what's in my pipeline, what we're pursuing. You're looking at GWAC contract vehicles like Polaris and Stars 3 and Oasis and all these other vehicles. So you're looking big picture of what we want to do, but then same token, those are IDIQs. So there's no money there until you win task orders. Right. So you're thinking about all these GWAC vehicles and all these other pursuits, but you don't want to lose your mindset on what you currently have.
Right.
Because if you devote all your resources to that, then you'll lose the work you have. And it's funny, my mentor had that happen to them. I mean, they lost a $45 million contract where they were the incumbent, and they won it through Stars 2. And lesson learned, big lesson for me. So they engaged them, they marketed to them, but then a new contracting officer came in. And they were about 90 days away from the RFP coming out. And what they did was they focused not on the new contracting officer, they focused on the response. Well, last time they wanted 15 key personnel. So we got the key personnel, we got them locked down, we got letters of commitment, we got the incumbent staff locked down, we're doing this, we're getting the proposal processes in place, all things responding to the proposal. Right. But in the meantime, an Alaska Native company went in there, pitched themselves to say, hey, look, we understand this contract is coming up for recompete. Are you prepared to recompete it? And the answer was no. The answer was, we need to find a stopgap. We need to find somewhere to put this work until we have time to put the fundamentals in place to recompete it. So unbeknownst to the prime, my mentor, this Alaska Native company came in, and then the government decided to do a 1-year sole source to them. And that was 70% of their revenue. That's going to go away at the end of next month, because they lost their sight on the work they currently have. They were so enamored with the recompete, and we got to put these things in place, prepare your proposal people, all this stuff for the response. And then what they also should have been doing was grooming that contracting officer, right, that new contract officer, make sure they're happy. I mean, I told them, you should have been giving that person coffee every day. Right. Here's who I am. What's going on? How's it progressing? Because it was they could have used a contract vehicle that this company had to do a 1-year bridge or do a 1-year extension. And unfortunately, because they took their eye off the ball of the contract officer, then now they're no longer the incumbent. So now they got to look next year at trying to win back the work that they had. I mean, that's going to be tough because now you made this ANC company the incumbent.
Wow. You know, that actually happened to me recently for a company that I was supporting. They brought in a new contract specialist, but this person was the one that was going to be making decisions about who was awarded IDIQs, and they're smaller, it's construction, so they're the $4.5 million limit, but still, I mean, when you're the incumbent out there, and you were already the contracting officer already said that you were going to be one of the awardees of this IDIQ. Now these were NAFAC's a little bit different. So these IDIQs are single awards. So it's one person. They're not, multiple IDIQs. So you're going to get single award IDIQ. That's just the way that they sole source contracts. They don't sole source you $4.5 million. They put it into IDIQ. They sole source you an IDIQ, and then they issue task orders against that. But you're the only company in there. And so we had been told one of our project managers was not being responsive to him. And so he was saying, look, everyone loves your work, but he's not answering my emails in a timely manner, and he's not calling me back. And we were made aware of that 3 months prior, and we didn't do anything about it. And then last month in June, he called me and said, Eric, I'm really tired of this. I've already warned you. He says, it's up to me. I wouldn't give you the IDIQ. He says, because this person that you have out here on site is, you have 2 task orders now, and he's just failing to communicate in a timely manner. I told the owner, replace this person with another person immediately and let the contracting specialist know that we've done that. He agreed with me to make that move, but somehow between the time where he agreed and his internal head, he changed, and he decided to let the person finish out their existing contracts, right? And then he would make the switch. Is what he told me. Well, he was never afforded that opportunity.
No, that's another lesson. I won't bore you with that one, but that's another story. The company that I helped grow, they lost 2 of their contracts at Department of State because of that.
Same thing.
They were told 6 months before the recompete of this project manager's shortcomings.
Right.
And they thought they could fix that person. They put that person on a program. Right. And they said, well, we can fix him. And again, another lesson learned, you can't fix it. Once the government, if it's that bad, the government comes to you.
Right.
Then your move is you got to replace that PM as soon as possible.
Right.
As soon as possible. You can't let it fester. Right. Because the government will be more and more resentful of that. And then next thing you know, you're going to lose the recompete contract because you didn't act on what they told you to do.
And that's what happened. That's what happened with us.
Yeah. That's another example I have. So
this happened a week ago, just so you know.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, this is still fresh in my wound. The wound is still fresh, and punctured into my chest.
Wow. Well, I'm also, I've gotten over it now, but this happened about 45 days ago, but the government did extend the contract to the end of August. But the thing is, my mentor, this was going to be our joint ventures contract. So it was basically going to add about 65 people to LBO. So
oh my goodness,
it would have made our year.
Right.
But now, unfortunately, it's not going to make our year. It's also going to be very detrimental to them because that's 70% of their revenue. So they're going to have to make some really hard decisions,
right? Sure.
With their non-billable staff in the next few months. So, but yeah, those are kind of lessons learned for small businesses that we really have to especially the recompetes. You can't lose. You can't just think I'm the incumbent and they like me, they like our people. You can't think that. You gotta be proactive and make sure in fine detail that they the work is you're performing well, and the project manager or program manager is doing their job, and you have a face-to-face dialogue with that core and that contract officer to make sure that's the case, so that and continue that. You can't just go there once and say, okay, we're performing well, and then 3 or 4 months from now something happens, and then
Right.
you don't know about it, and the next thing you know, that cost you the recompete.
Wow, that's interesting. Tell me, this is kind of an off question. Tell me a recent purchase that you made on Amazon.
Well, it's interesting. I just literally before this call, when I got home, I bought 2 inflatable beverage trays for our pool.
Okay.
Because we have a tanning bed and we have a bench in our pool.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, it's kind of inconvenient because I've got if I have a beverage, whether it's adult beverage or not,
Right.
I put it on the ledge. So it's kind of
Sure.
nice to have a little floaty thing with ice in it.
Okay.
You can have in the pool, and you can basically say, okay, well, pass it
Right.
around for people.
Pass around the pool, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
so yeah, that was my investment I made at 3:30 today in buying 2 of those. The other one I did was, which I love this, is for the pool. I got 2 outdoor speakers that look like a rock,
Okay.
and they're solar powered. So
Okay.
once you charge them and put them outside, then you can run your music and play Bluetooth, unlimited pretty much, because the sun's going to keep them charged.
Right.
And you can have your music outside as much as you want. But I didn't know they made solar powered ones, but they did. I did that yesterday.
But that's in Charleston, right? You're in Charleston.
No, that's in. I live in the Leesburg area. So.
Okay, so you're just offices in Charleston.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're benefiting from the summer.
Yes. Eventually, though, I want to be a snowbird. I want to have my wife and I want to have a place there somewhere in Charleston, and then be down there in the winter, and then come back up to Northern Virginia in the summertime.
No, that's great. Do you think that if you weren't doing this, what do you think you'd be doing now?
That's a very good question, because I've been in government contracting now for so long, but I didn't think if you asked me 20 years ago would I be an entrepreneur, I probably would have told you no.
Okay.
And people thought I was crazy for leaving GDIT. It's like, you're a director of GDIT, you've got this huge portfolio of contracts. You can just sit on that for the next until you retire. Sorry. You can sit on that for the next 20 years and retire happy. And so yeah, I wouldn't think I would have been an entrepreneur, but I did. But if I didn't do this, I would probably be in meteorology. I've had a fascination with weather since I was very young, and I'm envious whenever I see like a tropical storm or that's developing, or I see a series of severe storms or tornado outbreak. I get envious, like, wow, I would love to be either a tornado watcher or to be in the Doppler radio station at the Weather Channel, watching the activity, how the storm intensifies. I'm a geek. I'm a weather geek. So if I wasn't good at that thing, I probably would be a meteorologist, or at least be someone who studies the weather in some capacity.
I like that. That's
Thanks.
funny. I like that. That's a good one. I definitely very no one's said that before.
That's a kind of obscure position, but yeah, I'm a weather geek, and I would love to do that if I could. I still have a friend of mine that works for the National Weather Service, and I still try to lobby him, like, hey, is there any chance I could get into your center, just watch a hurricane?
Okay. So I'll tell you this that you probably didn't know. Maria, who you met at the event, she did a project for NOAA, and she sent off the weather balloons up in the air.
Oh my God!
You would have loved that.
I did. Yeah, I mean, my wife
loved that. She
I
did.
drive my wife crazy, because I'll look in the Caribbean and say, this storm, like, the pressure is like 951
Right.
millibars.
Yep.
Do you know what that means? How intense that storm is? And it was just like, yeah, whatever, you know.
No. Yeah, it was down in the Keys, and it was an HVAC job, but because it's in the Keys, that's where they released the balloons up in the air.
I see.
And so, and it's probably again because of the tropics, right? Tracking the storms, and so they released them up in the air with the boxes on it, and so she had a chance to release one.
Wow. Well, that would be a dream for me to do something like that.
All right, we gotta get you a contract with NOAA so you can go down and release a weather balloon.
Well, one of the companies that I'm looking to partner with, I met with them recently, and they actually support NOAA, but they actually have the weather beacons that go into the buoys that measure wind speed.
There you go.
So I'm like, oh, that would be so cool. I mean, so they literally have these buoys that they can measure, so NOAA can measure the wind speed of these approaching tropical storms or hurricanes.
Are there any other types of companies while this is going to pretty much go public? I always like to give guests a chance. Is there anything that you're looking for that maybe someone out there listening can offer you? Like you said, you mentioned that partner. Is there any specific type of partners that you're wanting to work with that you have not found as of the date of this recording?
Well,
right? Because when someone might listen to this a year later and say, "Hey, what was that guy from LBO? I could do,"
Well,
right?
that's true. Well, to be perfectly honest with you,
yep.
I am looking for small business partners or large business partners in the Charleston area because when I worked at GDIT, we supported the NAVWAR program, and we had a contract vehicle called Pillars, and that was where all the work at that area went through. So Pillars now has been dissolved. However, I would love to find a partner down there that has work it's no longer Space War, it's now NAVWAR, but that has work down there, or whether they're a small business or an 8A that's graduating or a hub zone company.
Right.
Would love to talk to them about partnering because we now have 4 Navy prime contracts. One up in Machias, Maine, the other 2 in Norfolk supporting NAVSUP. And then we also have work at the Washington Navy Yard. So would love to find someone down there in the Charleston area that we could work with and try to look at going after some Navy pursuits. So that would be awesome.
Okay. No, we'll make sure that's people are made aware of that. So that's really good. We're approaching an hour now, so I don't want to take too much more of your time. I'm going to be respectful of you. And again, like I said, I do appreciate you coming back on after we had some technical difficulty in the beginning.
Well, no worries. No worries.
A couple more things. Any books that you recommend for other small businesses out there, things that you've learned, maybe one of your mentors recommended, or maybe even a saying that one of your mentors told you early on and that sticks with you, that you've carried out through LBO technology?
Well, I'm a big fan of Steve Covey, 7 Habits of Successful People.
Yep.
I'm actually reading this book now, if I can hold it up.
It's blurred.
Blurred, no, sorry.
Just tell me what it is.
It is by Paul Sarvadi.
Okay.
It's titled "Take Care of Your People."
Okay.
So it's a book for a CEO's guide of taking care of their people. And I'll leave you with this. Steve Jobs once had a quote, and God rest his soul, but his quote was, "You don't hire smart people to tell them what to do. You hire smart people so they can tell you what to do." So I live by that because, believe me, I don't know everything. I may know business development, I may know proposal development, but I don't know it all. And I'm always learning every day. So I think that's a good thing to know, that you hire people not to tell them what to do. You hire people that are smart, especially for me in the PhD level SMEs that we have, and the diversity training PhD level SMEs. I learn something every day from them. So I think that's the case. I think you have to take care of your people, like the book said, but I think you also have to hire talented people and let them perform, and let them help the success of your company. and make you look good, but also in turn, that you take care of them and acknowledge that they've helped you be successful as a business owner.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you for that. Like I said, I always learn a lot from these episodes, and I always enjoy talking to new people. And definitely, I want to continue the conversation, and we will be reaching out to you beyond this episode. And we like to. Again, everyone that's in my network, right? Your net worth is your network, right? And so we're expanding our network, and now you're part of our network as well. So we love to be able to share in on all the things that we're doing and be able to extend resources to you and to support you in your goal of selling your company in 5 years. I want to be your champion. All right. Listen, I'm your champion. Okay. So definitely keep us in mind as you grow and as you decide, hey, maybe there's a technology partner that you're looking for, or a company that you want to acquire, but that's specific technology, because I get approached by a lot of companies that are startups with new technology. And to be honest with you, I tell them I can't help them because, as it is, the government doesn't want those like they want it from an existing provider like yourself, but not from a startup company with no experience of ever supporting the government. And so it would be a great strategic move for them to partner with someone like your company. And so they don't know you're out there, and a lot of times you probably don't know they're out there. So
Right.
we do run across those people all the time, and we'd love to support you in any way we can.
Eric, I would be certainly open to either working with them or helping them. There's a couple of companies now that I sort of help mentor, sort of unofficially,
Sure.
that they call me all the time and say, hey, what about this? Or what should I do here? And
okay,
happy to share my lessons learned or my advice that I've obtained over the years to help them. So,
oh, great. No, that's
feel free to pass on my information. I'll gladly talk to them.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're going to share this with the world. So,
okay.
But as I know that there's the space that you're in, I know that for you, it seems very competitive, a space, and like everyone wants to get into this, but I promise you, the rest of the world is not interested in cybersecurity. I can assure you that. I'm telling you this but when you're in the government sector, yes, it looks like everyone wants to be in cyber and everyone wants to be in IT, but on the outside world, it's people are not that thrilled about it. I promise you, I try to have these conversations and it doesn't get me very far. So no, listen, just if you could just leave us with some parting words and close us out for today, that'd be great.
Well, I enjoyed this and look forward to you sharing this with other small business owners and entrepreneurs, and look forward to meeting, engaging with other business owners. Love to chat with them, whether they're looking for someone to give them maybe some advice or looking for potential partners that support programs down there in the Charleston area.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story, and we'll make sure to have everything that you send us in terms of socials, your LinkedIn profile, your website, and all that other contact information readily available on our site, govcongiants.com/podcast. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks. Have a good weekend.
Thanks. You too. Bye now.
All right. Bye-bye.